you sign him for free from Aberdeen, and he's the only one that's in the team. When you play Hearts away.
You've got a Partick Thistle tracksuit in the car, don't you? You're just going to try and just slide it under the desk before we go.
The kit man gave me stuff for Saturday, so I've got it off ready for him.
Would you rather fight one giant Pataudry seagull or 10 normal-sized Glasgow pigeons?
See, to be fair, I like Westlife boys, so we're alright. You can slag me for that, no problem.
Rangers need to go and get a result this weekend and kick-start the season.
Yes, we're back. What a start it was to the new SPFL season. And Sam, we must have done something right. They have let us back at the warm-up HQ. And here we go.
Mate, buzzing to be back. Yeah, episode 2. We've obviously got many, many more to come this season. And this week we're joined by Ryan Jack and Brian Graham.
Good to see you both. Hope you're both well. Ryan, we'll start with you. What does pre-season look like for you now? Social media tells us you've been sunning yourself in Dubai.
Yeah, a wee bit different for me this season. First time in my career. Obviously no club, and try to stay fit and do a pre-season by myself. So being in Dubai, done a bit of pre-season, feeling fit, feeling ready. So just waiting for the right opportunity to come up, and then hopefully I'm fit and well, I'm ready to go.
And is Maryhill different from Dubai, or is it similar?
I've not quite got the luxury of Dubai, Gordon, so listen, if you fancy coming to Firhill, you're more than welcome. So no, pre-season will be great for us. Obviously the season started now. We never got the result we wanted. The first game, it was a draw with Morton. We didn't play particularly well, but now we go to Raith Rovers where they've just sacked their manager, so it's an interesting weekend to look forward to.
And how are you focused at the moment yourself? Because you've obviously got your managerial role with Partick Thistle Women, but also playing now with the Championship started again.
Yeah, the girls' season kicks off at home. Well, I say home. We're playing at Maryhill Juniors for the first couple of games because Petershill's getting relayed and it's not ready yet. There's been delay after delay, which has not been ideal because we're used to playing at Petershill and we've got a good record there. But now we're going to Maryhill Juniors. It's on the grass. The girls usually every weekend are on AstroTurf. So, but I'll obviously first and foremost the focus is Saturday to go and try and get 3 points. As soon as that game's finished, the mindset is about switching and getting the manager's head on for the Sunday.
Right, this definitely sounds different from Dubai in the summer, I have to say. But social media, you were out there with some big names, Declan Rice and others. So what's that like? How does that come about to us who don't know how these things work?
So basically it's just a guy I know, Chris Bowman, who has Elite Sports sort of complex out there. He's got his own gym and sort of HQ base. So I've just worked with him before, got in touch. And obviously it just worked in timing. Was the England boys who had been to Euros as well, was on holiday in Dubai. So there was Declan Rice, Kira Walsh and Lewis Dunk as well. So a good group of us. It was good. It was a bit of work that I needed. I went without my family and I knew that I need to go and get a wee pre-season. So when the time comes to get a club, that I'm ready.
What were those guys and girls like to work with out there?
No, they were brand new. They're brand new, down to earth people. We just turned out. I think we trained at 7:30 every morning, and then gym after. So it was tough, and they were brand new, good people, and hopefully that's put me in a good place for when I get a club.
Who coped with the heat better out there?
Yeah, well, first couple of days I was all over the
mate.
place, to be honest. It was like 40 degrees, roasting hot, but once you've got a couple of days under your belt, you sort of customise and get used to it. But it was good. I really enjoyed it.
I mean, if I was being greedy, you were going to rock up on the warm-up today and exclusively reveal to everybody who you're signing for in the new season. But even deep down, I know that's not going to happen. What is the future looking like? What's happening right now? Anything in the pipeline?
There's a few talks. I touched on that before. A few things abroad. Currently discussing, but nothing that I can exclusively give you right now. But all I can say is I'm itching to get back in. Brian knows when you're in that team environment and you've got pre-season and you've got the team bond, and it's nothing better. So yeah, I'm at that stage where itching to get back in, wanting to get back in that team environment. So we'll see how long it is till I'm back in.
You've got a Partick Thistle tracksuit in the car, don't you? You're just going to try and just slide it under the desk before we go.
The kit man gave me stuff for Saturday, so I've got it ready for him, but I'm not sure we can afford them.
We'll see. Well, negotiations can continue throughout this. So what about you? I can't believe we've sat you two together. This guy's looking for a job, and you've got two. You've got a couple to spare. You're the busiest guy in Scottish football. For those who don't know, what does that schedule look like? Being Partick Thistle striker, captain, main goal scorer, and head coach of the women's team. How do you fit it all in?
I've been doing it for a number of years now, so you just get so used to it. Monday to Friday, obviously, you're full time with the men's side. The girls are training 3 evenings, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights, playing a Saturday myself, and then obviously I've got the girls at the weekend. So I've not really got a social life. Bearing in mind I've still got a wife and 2 kids and a dog to look after as well. So trying to cram it all in, it is very difficult. But I've got myself in a really good routine. And if I'm being honest with you, at an older age, I actually see after the game, you would probably like to wind down, have a couple of drinks on a Saturday night. It's actually stopped me from doing that. So it's giving me maybe that longevity of continue playing. So it's had its perks as well. So because on a Saturday, as I said, once the game finishes, your mind switches to being a manager and you're fully focused on the Sunday. Have a nice meal with the family and just having a relaxing Saturday night, where it's maybe when I was younger, I might have been out with my teammates and having a bevy and maybe lasted on to the Sunday afternoon, but those days are long gone now, and you need to plan for your future ahead. I know I can't play forever as much as I would love to do so, but I'm planning when I do hang the boots up, I'm building a nice CV up while I'm still playing, and I can apply for jobs when I'm done.
Brian's given us his schedule there, Ryan. I wonder what yours looks like. I wonder if your housework schedule, you getting under a bit of pressure at home to do a bit more.
Definitely. I think walk the dog, 3 kids. It's been carnage, but it's a side I'm not used to be honest, because usually right now you're pre-season and you're straight into games. Obviously European games, usually qualifiers, then your hotel quite a lot. So it's a different sort of schedule, but now I'm relishing it. I think it's good for me to spend that time. I've touched on before, like when you're a player and you've got such a demanding schedule over a number of years, you don't really get that family time with the kids as much as you would maybe like. So now I'm enjoying it, but just not enjoying it too much.
And on pre-season, you've obviously worked with a lot of Rangers managers down the years as well. Was there any that suited your style better than others, would you say?
No, look, I think you take different things from every manager. You try and learn as much as you can on the game, but I think one of the toughest pre-seasons I've had was under Steven Gerrard. I think we went away. That was when he first came in. We went to Marbella for I think it was 2 weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks. It was just double sessions every day, constant. And I mean, you do reap the rewards off that. I mean, I'm not going to lie. You go away and it's 10 days grueling schedule, but when you come back, you feel really fit and ready to attack the schedule and games ahead. Playing
similar position as well, was that something that you benefited from with Stevie G?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. I think I learned a lot of him. Not just him, I think Gary McAllister was there as well, who obviously was a great player in his day, and I think what I learned off they two was how to deal with a lot of highs, a lot of lows, both being in contact and touch, obviously since I've been out of contract, and learned a lot of both of them.
How about for you, Brian, as well? Any managers that you played with that were similar position to yourself?
Jim McIntyre, he actually said I used to remind him of how he played. So Jim was a fiery character at Ross County. We managed to win the League Cup together. So he was good for me in my career moving forward.
When you look at the situation now, Ryan, it must be interesting because there's so many people that you know still at Rangers, but then a lot of new faces. Looking at it from relatively outside for this weekend and the game being at Hampden instead of Ibrox, obviously, how do you think that situation affects everyone?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to have an effect. There's no doubt. I think the power that Ibrox has, especially next Tuesday, there's the big Champions League qualifier. The atmosphere that Ibrox can bring for that, and obviously when you're going to a home game, you need to probably travel to Hampden for the game. It's going to feel different, of course it is, as a player. But I think it's Rangers at a stage where they can't afford distractions and they just focus on the job that's in hand. And I think this weekend's vital to go and get 3 points.
Plenty to look forward to this weekend, but before we get to that, we're looking forward to the Rondo. We didn't even explain it to you two before we come on, the element of surprise. I did not appreciate last week when Marvin Bartley and Stephen Naismith just laughed and said they'd like to see us two in a Rondo. They've no idea what we're capable of. We'll leave that for another day, but the Rondo is 5 quick fire questions, 5 from me to you, Ryan, Jack, but firstly 5 from Sam to Brian, obviously trying to put you in the spot and say something daft. Let's go.
Here we go. So would you rather score 2 tap-ins or 1 screamer?
2 tap-ins.
Okay,
greedy striker.
Goals. Yeah, nice, I like it. Best music era, 80s, 90s or noughties?
90s.
90s, okay.
Elaborate.
Yeah, you've got
I like the dance music around the 90s.
I thought you were going to say like Backstreet Boys.
No.
In the dressing room,
I like Westlife and Boyzone, so we're all right. You can slag me for that, no problem.
Okay. Would you have ever stuck some 90s on in the dressing room? Were you that kind of guy, or would it be someone else putting the tunes on?
Scott Robinson will tell you one day I had Celine Dion blaring and he loved it, so it was brilliant.
Who's the best? What's the best initiation song you've seen?
Oh, there's been that many, I don't even know.
That means nobody was good, basically.
To be fair, when I was younger, Peter Wellison at Morton was our kid. He could sing. He was brilliant.
Any from you?
Nah, most
Just
of them
all
are terrible.
hopeless.
Most of them are terrible. Aye.
That's poor
Aye,
standard.
most of them are
And so
terrible.
next up, then, mate, who'd win in a fight, Broxy Bear or Kingsley?
Oh, come on.
Kingsley.
Kingsley.
All day
smash.
long.
Yeah, he's got it.
Big jaggy edges.
Would you rather win the championship or win the SWPL?
Oh,
That's a tough
Can't
one.
believe he's done that to him.
won the championship.
I feel like
Sorry
it was close
to all
though.
of Brian's
No, because
players out there.
I know we're not going to win that, so I'm being realistic here. I'm being
Fair
honest.
enough.
Yeah.
I like the honesty, mate. And so, biggest name in the phone book?
John McGinn.
Don't mind
That's
that.
right.
Favourite of
Yeah,
ours, that's
that's all
fine,
right.
right?
Yep,
Okay. Ryan, for you, what do you prefer? Pre-season in Dubai or Milgai?
Dubai,
Any reason? The weather, obviously.
just the weather.
Daft question. Let's move on. Would you rather fight one giant Pataudry seagull or 10 normal-sized Glasgow pigeons?
That's better for you.
10 pigeons.
Okay, I've got nothing to add on that. I've never thought about it. What's better for a night out, Glasgow or Aberdeen?
Glasgow by a mile.
By a mile.
Aye.
What was your... Surely once you get to Rangers, you need to lie low a little bit, no? Did you still
Aye,
manage to...
aye. It's different. It's different when you get in Glasgow.
Because
don't really
Aberdeen,
get
you
on
were
with it,
younger.
but-
You must have had some memorable...
I can't get in Aberdeen anymore either.
Experiences.
So
Well, that's true. Certainly not anymore. Who was angrier on the training pitch, you or Alan McGregor?
very close. Very close. Griggsy tops it. There's not
Would
anyone.
he say you, though?
Nah.
He would admit
Nah.
it.
Aye.
Right, okay. And biggest name in your phone book?
Steven Gerrard.
Jeez. I knew he
Sorry,
was gonna
John
drop
McGinn.
that
That's a
in
wee
there.
bit of different contract.
I'm happy with John McGinn. I
So
don't mind.
am I.
I think
Great guy.
That's not bad. That is not bad at all.
There we go. So we got a big fixture this weekend, obviously, Gordon, haven't we? We've got Hibs up against Celtic. So we actually spoke to a few fans ahead of the big game this weekend to see what they think about each other's clubs.
We've only brought in 2 goalkeepers and someone who was on loan last season, so far more signings required.
We've trusted the process for the last few years under this regime, and the recruitment has been pretty horrendous. The new sporting director is trying to get rid of most of them. Despite some positive results, it looks like there's still quite a lot of work needed at Easter Road. We have just signed Junior Hoylett from Aberdeen.
We're sitting on mountains of cash, and there are real areas of development required in the team. It's pretty obvious for anyone watching Celtic that we need reinforcements.
Callum McGregor. Without any hesitation, I think Callum McGregor has been the best midfielder in Scotland for a number of years. He's the absolute heartbeat of the Celtic. He's the sort of player that Hibs have been missing for a good wee while since probably John McGinn left the club.
You had to bring up John McGinn, didn't he? Joe Newell. Joe Newell, I've always liked him at Hibs. I think he's a very consistent performer.
I think probably Alex McLeish's with Frank Soze and Russell Latipi were a level above anything I've witnessed in my lifetime watching Hibs.
I liked Tony Mowbray's team. Obviously, we tried to plunder that a wee bit. We ended up with Mowbray as well. They were a very entertaining side, and they were bringing through a lot of really good homegrown talent. The team I most enjoyed watching was Tommy Burns' side. We didn't win too many trophies, but I think he laid the foundations for the entertainment that we saw in the years after that.
I thought you would have went with Martin O'Neill's side, Larson, and I think Sutton was in that team as well, and they were terrific. I think I'm going to go for Lewis Stevenson. Unspectacular, but an absolute stalwart at the club, a proper club legend. A couple of trophies with us. Every game he played, he gave 100%.
I'm going to stick with Paul McStay, the maestro. Again, going back to that old school mentality of sticking it out even when we weren't great. One club man, made over 500 appearances for the club. Certain stadiums not being suited to certain teams or certain managers, and Brendan Rodgers does not have a fantastic record. I think back to last season, the game at Easter Road that finished nothing each. We could have played all day and we were not breaking Hibs down. It's not going to be easy. I don't think we'll win at a canter, but I do think we'll have too much for Hibs.
I think Hibs have got a wee knack sometimes of coming off the back of a really bad result and surprising people. So I think Celtic will win, but I don't think it'll be a walkover. Ambition's 4, but I think we will be 5th.
I'm pretty confident we're going to win 4 in a row this season.
Warrior,
Legend. Icon.
legend,
Heat.
Judas.
Class.
Class, no other word for him.
Homegrown.
Beige. Hibs class.
Disappointment.
Legend.
Warrior.
Brian, you played under Neil Lennon at Hibs. Are you going to give us a one-word
Passionate.
summary?
That's it.
Well
Passionate.
handled, passionate. I like that. Seriously, one of your former clubs. It's good that you've had quite a few. It means you're well placed for a lot of these conversations. But look at Hibs and the way they started the season, and the contrast the way Celtic started it. How do you see this one going at the weekend?
As we just watched there, they're saying that Brendan Rodgers not got a great record at Easter Road. I watched the Celtic game at the weekend, and if they play like that, I can't see them not picking up 3 points. David Gray was an ex-teammate of mine. Lovely guy, and I hope he does well, but I just can't see Hibs winning against Celtic at the weekend. I think Celtic will be too strong for them. We're back to that saga about Celtic. He said, bound, what was it? What was the word he said?
Mountains of cash.
Mountains of cash. So me and Ryan had a wee chuckle about that. I think Celtic will be too strong. They will bring in players, but fans being fans, they want players now. But what they need to realise is Celtic is a business. They have been for a number of years now, where they don't just go out and spend 5-6 million on a player anymore. It just doesn't happen. So going back to your original point, I believe Celtic will go there on the 1-3-0.
Do you think that they're waiting to sell before they buy then? It looks like Matt O'Reilly, he's been linked with moves away, hasn't he?
O'Reilly, Hatate. When you play for clubs like Celtic and Rangers, you're always going to be linked with other clubs, especially when they're doing well. I don't believe that they're waiting to sell. They don't need to do that. The way Brendan Rodgers keeps using the words quality. He wants quality in the door. He doesn't just want anyone in. He wants quality, and I think that'll be the issue with Celtic. They want to do better in Europe. I believe they've got a good, strong squad at the moment to win the league, but it's in Europe where the fans are wanting to go and do particularly well, because it's not been like that. Celtic Park used to be a fortress in the Champions League night. That's not the case anymore. So that's probably why Brendan Rodgers is wanting quality in there, to make sure they're better in Europe.
Ryan, two opponents you know obviously very well. I'm sure you got a lovely reception at both grounds, Hibs and Celtic, but they meet each other this weekend. You've been in that challenge, that sort of trying to stop Celtic basically at the start of a new season. Is that the reality of it again? Can anyone do it?
Yeah, look, it's as Brian touched on, I've seen the highlights of the game at the weekend just passed, and obviously it's a strong start. There's no other way you can say it. They've started strong. They've set a marker out. They won the league last year, and it's basically same again that they're asking, can anyone live with us? And I'm sure Rangers are going to try that task. They're going to try and live to Celtic's pace this season, but Rangers haven't started well, and that's why I touched on. It's important this weekend that Rangers go and get 3 points, get Motherwell, get them back in it, and then see where it goes. What
do you think Hibs have got to do better as well? Because that was a poor result at St Mirren, wasn't it, at the weekend?
Yeah, it surprised me. I'm not going to lie, it surprised me. I think when I seen 3-0, it did. I sat back and looked at it. But Hibs, David Gray will be disappointed with that, and I'm sure he'll be asking this week for a big reaction. I mean, they'll probably have a sellout, big crowd, Celtic at home, so he'll be looking for a reaction.
Been busy though, I suppose, Hibs, haven't they? Nicky Cadden and Junior Hoylett and Kieran Bowie. I'm not saying that's all a reaction to losing your opening game. I'm sure there's a plan in place, but clearly trying to make sure it's not a bad start to the season that continues on.
No, I think they're trying to bring in players to make their squad better, first and foremost. Dave Gray, he was a passionate player, so I believe he'll be a passionate manager. He'll be bitterly disappointed with how the result went against St Mirren. He'll want a reaction, as Ryan just mentioned, and he'll be going all out to win the game, especially at home. But I'm going to go back to it. I just can't see Celtic losing it. I think they've started so strongly. I think they'll continue, and I think it'll take a massive performance for Hibs to even try and get into the game.
Well, we'll see. Let's take a look at what other fixtures we've got. Though should be a cracking weekend, you have to say, in the top flight. So much focus on the venue, as we mentioned. Hampden, of course, for Rangers against Motherwell. Dundee United enjoying life back in the top flight, heading to Dingwall. And Dundee and Hearts both share the spoils on the opening weekend, Sam.
Yeah, should be an interesting one as well. The 5:30 kickoff there, later kickoff obviously on the Saturday, but they'll both be looking to get their first 3 points of the season, won't they, with that one?
Of course, European football does this to the schedule early on, doesn't it? You end up with more Sunday games. We've touched on Hibs and Celtic. Aberdeen coming off the back of an impressive first victory. They'll host St Mirren. And Kilmarnock, another team involved in Europe, and they will take on St Johnstone at home on the Sunday. So plenty to look forward to there, but the beauty of it is, and here's Brian Graham's just sat up in his chair. Do you want to just take it away? Leave us to it. What are we looking out for in the Championship?
I think it's our game against Raith Rovers. Football's football. One game you lose, Ian Murray loses his job. You're looking at it from afar thinking it's a strange decision. We were so close to the Premiership last year. But in football, nothing should really shock you. We'll go there. We were disappointed with our own performance last week. We're not winning at home, and we've got high expectations for ourselves this season. So we need to go there and get 3 points. We don't even know who's in charge of Raith Rovers at the weekend, so we can't really focus on them. We just got to focus on ourselves and make sure we come out with Kirkcaldy with 3 points.
Down the divisions, though, plenty to look forward to as well. Maybe it was a slow start in terms of goals. I was looking on Saturday early on. Eventually, teams started finding their feet. It jumps out straight away, Sam. Surely, if there is one man in Scottish football that has been to Arbroath against Montrose, the Angus Derby, it is you. Or have we finally found the one game that you've never been to before?
I think that's, the one derby that I've never been to. It's not been in the leagues for a number of years, I don't think. Arbroath have obviously been...
Get this man up there on Saturday.
Quite high up, exactly. I need to get there. But also looking at that, Annan Inverness as well. What a trip that is, obviously, for Inverness, coming all the way down to Annan.
Yeah, let's go to League Two as well, because there's plenty to look forward to. There's a man that Brian Graham will know well, I'm sure, and Ian McCall, Stranraer, just staying in the division last season. It just feels like Brian will maybe focus more on the Championship in a second, but it feels like all these divisions now, it doesn't seem like there's any standout favourite. I guess that just makes for a more, hopefully, exciting campaign.
That's why I believe the Championship's the best league in Scotland, because it's so entertaining. So, but as you said there, you pointed out the other leagues, there's nobody that's going to really go and run away with it. Inverness have got their own problems. Queen of the South have had their own problems as well at times. So you look at Annan, they brought in Willie Gibson, Stephen Bell, they've started well in the league. They'll have high hopes. Could they go and win the league? And then you've got Ian McCall in the League Two. I know Ian McCall, he'll be desperate to win that league to get them back up. He actually done a fantastic job to actually just save them without the relegation playoff.
So weren't they 13 points adrift or something along those lines, weren't they, at one point when he came in?
Yeah, when he first took the job, I was a bit shocked by it, because he's obviously managed higher up the leagues, but obviously he believed in himself to get out it. Looking from afar, I didn't even think they were going to get out it, no chance, and credit to Ian McCall and Neil Scally. They got the job done, and then obviously they came and beat us in the cup game early in the season at Firhill as well, so we weren't too happy with them.
I don't mind you being selfish and picking out your own game, but Dunfermline Falkirk fans, I could almost hear you shouting that your fixture is more important this week or more appealing. It's certainly going to be an absolute cracker. Been to some of them before, absolutely brilliant. This man, as always, Sam's been on his travels. He's been following them around over the opening weekend just to find out what's going on in both camps and looking ahead to this weekend.
They're close, but they're not in the same town, obviously. Dundee, they're right next to each other. Celtic and Rangers, same city. Hibs and Hearts, same city. But what about Falkirk and Dunfermline? Are you already kind of thinking about next week against Falkirk? Or?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Definitely.
You glad that derby's back then?
Delighted the derby's back, absolutely. That's the games that you want to have every year.
And would you say it's one of the biggest non-city rivalries within the country?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
There's much more fire in that, in that derby than even the local derbies we have in Fife ourselves.
For me personally, living around here, it's probably the biggest kind of derby out with Rangers and Celtic. There's just been this in-depth kind of hatred that just seems to come from, I don't really know.
One week before the derby and they're singing about Dunfermline already here.
You know, the 4 times we played them in the League One season were good games. Obviously we got the better of them that year, but you know, they've had a great season last year, and you know, they're flying high just now.
I've obviously played in them before with Falkirk in my first season here. Those were always the sort of games where we built ourselves up. We were maybe 3, 4, 5 points behind them. If we won that game, then the title race was really on, and we always fell flat on our face.
The games that you look for at the start of the season was the Falkirk and the Raith games, so to get one sweat on the season's good, and hopefully we can put a mark on them.
Something that we were really disappointed with that year, that on the big occasions we seemed to not only let ourselves down but the fans down, so we've kind of got a score to settle there.
It feels like every team that's involved in the league, you know, thinks they can at least make the playoffs or looking up. Does that suit you better, that on paper it's more of an even run at things, or is it better when there's a Dundee United in the league or a big team that gets all the attention and all the expectation?
Listen, that's what usually happens. Last year obviously Dundee United won it, but everybody wanted to beat them and have the scalp. You've not really got that this year, where it is more of an even keel, where everybody's believing they can go and win the league. There will be pressure as the campaign develops, and you see how it's half of the table is looking and the bottom half of the table is looking. So me being part of Partick Thistle, we can only concentrate on ourselves, but there'll be other teams out there with huge aspirations and believing they can get to the Premier League this year, that's for sure.
And so, as much as I'm enjoying the lower league chat, this is the next section that I really want to come on to, because
Honestly,
fantasy football.
It's been desperate to bring this up.
I'm above this man after week 1, so I think I've got the touch for that. But firstly, we're going to look at Oisin Smith's goals for St Mirren. He was the top scorer in fantasy this week. How many points was it? 25 points, I think he got for his 2 goals.
75, and if you had him as a super sub, right, and I'm genuinely baffled, right. Apparently there was more than one person out there that had Oisin Smith as their super sub.
Do you reckon that's his mum and dad? Or
They've cleaned
It's
up.
gotta be.
Whoever you are, get the lottery numbers over to us. Honestly, ridiculous. Let's take a
Right,
look
let's
at that
get the
league
league
table. I
table
know
up. Come on,
Sam,
I'm keen.
he's bragging about being above me. But that's
I'm
not
mid-table,
a lot, is it?
but at least I'm above you. Look
That's
at that,
not a lot.
29th.
The
But
Paul McWinners are notoriously slow starters, and then
shout
they'll
out to
just,
Louis United,
they'll just,
obviously, who's top.
They'll find their feet as the season goes on. But Louis United, what a sensation he is. That's a healthy wee lead, that, after
It's
League
all right,
One.
yeah.
I'm
Already,
quite,
yeah,
I'm
over
quite
5
happy with that.
points,
That's
yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
What is that? What does get McGinn to them? A fat beer lover? No, listen, I don't want to make any judgments, but there we go. Some impressive performances to kick us off. Let's take a look at the teams for this week. Brian knows this all too well. The management decisions just swirling round your head all week. I brought James Scott in. I liked him off the bench. Stevie Robinson obviously knows how to get the best out of him. He's going to come in. And honestly, I have bored everyone to tears all week. How good was the Dundee derby?
Unbelievable, yeah. Just the fact that it was back, and then
Honestly.
we had so many boring games, I guess you could say, in the
Steady.
Premiership in that opening weekend.
I
but
thought
then
the atmosphere was excellent.
the
It was
atmosphere
amazing.
was great, yeah.
I actually loved the fact that Dundee support, they had a great support at Tannadice, something we don't really see in big derbies
great.
anymore. So it was fantastic. Had great entertainment, good goals in the game. It was brilliant to watch.
So on the back of it, Trapanovsky, he's the man back. He's in the team, and hopefully he's going to find me above you, because I can't be bored with this gloating.
Speaking of
all
which, let's have
season.
a look at the team, shall we? There we go. So I brought in Jan Danda this week. I wasn't sure if he'd start for Hearts when he first signed, but he started against Rangers, obviously. So I've brought him in. We've got Hefty as well after a good European, I think, outing this week. And Jamie McGrath, he saved me basically on Monday night. So I'm hoping for more points there. What do you reckon, lads? Is that looking a bit better than Gordon's team, would you say?
Strong
Or-
team, aye.
It's all
Strong
right.
team.
Yeah.
I don't think James Scott will even start. He's under pressure already.
He is, isn't he? Yeah.
Listen, I would just have another wee look at your team. I would just make sure they're all fit. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. I'll have a little look later on.
This is going to get heated in it as the
I know
season
it
goes
is,
on.
yeah.
Just have a wee look. Just make sure there's none of them out for a few weeks. That's
Okay, I need to check it
maybe
later
I've got
on,
it
yeah.
wrong. Maybe because your attention to detail is better than mine.
Okay,
but
we'll
see.
check later on. We'll see next week as well, won't we? So,
We'll have a look.
but
Anyway,
anyone watching as well, if you want to get involved with our league, follow the link in the description and all that good stuff as well.
absolutely, plenty to look out for. It's been interesting summer, hasn't it? You look at transfers and so on. Ryan, obviously with your Rangers hat on, it's like unavoidable, I guess, the comparisons with Connor Barron, who's made the same sort of path, and how you've dealt with that and the backlash from Aberdeen fans, and then seeing that step to a club like Rangers. What's he going through?
Yeah, he's no doubt he'll be going through a tough time. There's no doubt. I think, as you touched on there, you do get the backlash, but for him, he's got to just block that out. It's irrelevant. He's got to just focus on. He's at a huge club. He's going to have a huge task. He's came in and actually done really well. His first couple of games. So he's got a huge task at the club, and he needs to block out the outside noise and just focus on in the building. I'm sure everyone in the building will be supporting him, as they did with me when I made the move. But no, he started really well, and I look forward to seeing him as the season goes on.
Probably been their signing of the summer so far, would you say? From those, like you say, opening couple of games, it's not been too many so far, but looking at him, I think compared to the others, it's not good.
I think they've obviously spent money on certain players, and he was the one that started at the weekend against Hearts. So no, I think he's done well, but it goes back to saying in the market that you sign him for free from Aberdeen, and he's the only one that's in the team when you play Hearts away. So I've seen obviously there's a bit of backlash on transfers and whatnot, but I've touched on before that Rangers need to go and get a result this weekend and kick-start the season, because you can't leave it 2, 3, 4, 5 games to be in that position, and if it doesn't go well, then the pressure builds and it builds, and then something breaks. So it's important that they go and get a result this weekend.
I'll have to say, enjoyed that. I think we're out of time. Unfortunately, Sam, they've let us back for a second week. I think we just about survived it.
Episode 2's done. Yep, we've got many, many more to come. So make sure you hit that little red button down there and subscribe so you don't miss an upload every single Friday. Follow us on all of our socials as well. We'll be doing some competitions throughout the season, but the next one will be to win some tickets for the Celtic versus Rangers game on the 1st of September.
That'll be a popular one. I've got a funny feeling. And if you don't win them, just ask Ryan Jack. He says he's more than happy to answer any DMs. He's got loads of time on his hands. But thanks on a serious note to Ryan and Brian for joining us. Really enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed watching, and we will see you next time on the warm-up.